Hello, Facebook. Hello, Facebook. This is Debby Enoe with another live on the Female Educators Roundtable. Apologies for the lateness. Everything that could have gone wrong have gone wrong today in terms of the internet and the computer freezing, etc. So today we have another educator who is going to speak to us regarding various themes that are used during teaching, especially on the online platform. Would you like to introduce yourself? Can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. If you just introduce yourself, tell us what country you come from, what you teach, and the age group of the students that you teach, please.
Okay, thank you. Hi. Hello, good evening, everyone. Hi, Debbie.
Hi.
Honored to have with you at this Educators Roundtable platform. Thanks for this wonderful opportunity to interact and indulge with you with the so many sharings and new ideas. Thanks for the invitation. I'm Harsha Chavan from Mumbai, from India. I'm working there as a teacher educator, trainer, state level trainer, and also module developer, and also working as board of study member in Balbharti, Pune, as a curriculum designer. Also part of various government's projects as an educator. So it's really a great opportunity to work for the teachers and learners also. Previously, I was working as a teacher. I have 17 years teaching learning experience, and I do not consider myself as a teacher. I'm always thinking about that I'm a learner, as a lifelong learner. So this is really a great opportunity for us, though we are all facing the pandemic situation, but we can consider it as an educator as a great opportunity to share, to understand, and to know and to learn many things. Thanks for the day. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. That is very true, because especially on the online platform now, there's so many things we could learn. There's so many things that we didn't know in relationship to how we use various technology to engage our students, to ensure that they have alternative ways of learning, etc. So the pandemic have actually given us that opportunity to do that. Yes, there's some negative side of it, but I do feel there's far more positive side coming out of the pandemic, because a lot of the things that we are using now on this online platform, we could actually take with us into the classroom. And we could actually see the great benefit of actually using alternative methods than what we've been used to in the traditional classroom teaching setup. What I want to look at is various themes which educators use to engage their students. Some educators might use the teddy bear party as a theme to teach students. And one educator said to me that she views a pajama party as a way of engaging the student as a thematic theme to actually teach what she wanted to teach. Can you tell me what would you use or have you used in relationship to themes when you teach your students?
So when we have to interact or discuss or share something or try to explain something to learners, there is not a single learning style we have to use, teaching learning style. So there are various types of learners in our classroom. Some are visual learners, some are oral learners, some verbal, some are social, some logical, physical, and tactile also. Even we have the learners which are solitary, we can consider as solitary learners, and some are naturalistic learners. So we have different types of learners. So I think not a single strategy is used in a classroom. Instead of that, we can use different types of teaching strategies, cooperative learning, inquiry based, differentiating technology. Nowadays, technology is playing a vital role in the teaching learning process. Then behavior management, life skills, professional development, and apart from this, so we have to think according to the age group also. For every age group and every types of learners, we have to use different types of learning styles. So it's not important that what the other is using, what others are using the strategy. We have to decide the techniques and the strategies according to our learners level, our classroom situation, surroundings, and also available resources, and what are the need. Because learning should be considered as a learning should be go on as an because learning should go on as an one hand-on-hand experience. So I think this is the important part of our teaching learning process. So today we will discuss about various types of teaching learning ideas. So Debbie, are you there? I think you have logot. Here I would love to share one quote from one of the famous educationists that he explained about the various strategies and about the teaching learning process also. So I would love to share with you about the quote, famous quote from the Leonardo da Vinci. He said that to develop a complete mindset, learners should know how to see, realize that everything connects to everything, and just go to study all the things. So I think before thinking the learner's learning style, we have to think about all the things which can be useful for the learners and their learning levels. So today we will discuss about it, that how our learning should go on. Okay, let me start with a few strategies, and just now what the Debbie discussed about with me about that, how the thematic approach can be useful for the learners. So before discussing about that, here you can use the comments box that what is expected from you, that which learning styles you are using in your classroom. You can share in the chat box. I will check with it and also let you know that how we can use and how we can help the learners during the classroom situation, and also during our teaching learning process and in the various situation. So just comments in the chat box for a few seconds. Debbie is facing some technical problem. She's lost out the connection. Okay, no issue, Debbie. We will continue. We are live now. Let me continue with you. Are you able to join? Are you now? Let me continue with you. Okay, just put some, yeah, you can put in comments box. Misa Punchi says that you may use theme of favorite social reformers. In that way, it will help them learn reforms that they initiated. Very nice. Apart from this, Debbie is here again. Okay, Debbie. Okay, over to you now. Debbie is here again.
Yeah, I lost connection.
Yeah, it's okay. Over to you. I just discussed about that various teaching learning strategies. Now you can carry on.
Okay, right. Another thing is a number of educators, as I said, use various themes. And one of the themes they use, let's say if they're looking at the solar system, they use all their subjects to connect the solar system, i.e. if they're teaching maths, they're teaching English, they're teaching science, whatever subjects they're teaching, they're connected to that one theme, which is the solar system. Can you explain whether or not this is a system you use in your teaching?
Actually, just when we think about the thematic approach, then we have to think about first the differentiate between the theme and the concept. Most of the time, it is considered that concept means theme, but no, concept is a part of the theme. This is an important consideration because as we look into the theme-based learning, it is a trend in current foreign language in education. So learning is the process of integration when we think that we see how facts and ideas connect with one another. So it is important to connect our thought or ideas with the across the subject with the subject related to the subject knowledge and also the constructing the meaning to understand to derive the meaning from that particular content. So that is called as a thematic approach. It helps to relevant curriculum areas also and around the topic also. So it is an internationally recognized concept now. So just now you mentioned about the example about the thematic approach. So in India, in one state, in Maharashtra, the government has just piloting the project about that international schooling. And there this concept is used for the international schooling. That how it works. So suppose just now you mentioned a solar system. So if I use the theme for today's teaching as a solar system, then I have to use the same theme for the other subject also. Means I am relating my theme, one particular theme with languages also for other subjects also, math, science, social studies, art and craft, and other life skills also. So I have to connect that theme with other subjects, means a correlation of the theme with other subjects. This is a one way of the thematic approach. It's a vast thing, but we can discuss in a short way like this.
Okay. Do you think that now that you're teaching online, do you think that it is wise to use a thematic approach while teaching online? Do you think it's going to work?
Little bit just worried about that how we can use completely this thematic approach, because it's a different way. It is first comes from the curiosity, that what the students are curious about, the things they are trying to find out, they are trying to connect with the topic, and then they have to start to learning. It's related to the self learning. So when we think about that, we have to think about that atmosphere and acquire of the state of lifelong learning. So when we have to think about the lifelong learning never goes with the technology only, because it is an experience as a compact pack of the full life experience, which is not in the classroom only, outside the classroom. So when due to this lockdown situation, they are getting only the exposure of the home surrounding. And apart from this, they are not getting the outside any exposure. Even they are not in the schools. So this approach somehow can be stuck because of this situation. So we cannot justice completely with this approach.
Yeah, but don't you think the fact that you are connecting the experience in the home, that it can be easier to use some thematic approach if you're actually teaching them, in the house? For example, if you're doing maths, you might decide, okay, if you're doing circle, if you're talking about, dividing the circle, etc. The fact that the students are able to get various objects, in terms of the circle at the top, don't you think that might help them to connect it in that thematic way?
Sure. For example, see, now just take the theme of cooking. So what the process I'm doing for the cooking? So students can watch them parents, I don't say only mother, they can say, watch their parents that, oh yeah. So they can use this cooking theme here for the learning. So what they learn? This is again the process of thematic learning. But in the thematic learning, the important thing is that space of studying over the, we can say that over the time. How much time they will take to learn that particular theme. Again, how much space they are getting. Then retrieval practice. How much practice they are getting for that particular topic's retrieval. Then elaboration of the topic. Who will explain them more about that topic? Do we think that parents are, while doing household work, they are explaining and discussing with the learners? Means they are not considering the learners. They are their children and they have to just behave with them just as it is just their child as theirs. Okay, I have to cook food and I have to serve my kids. Nothing. They are not thinking about that approach and the process. But if they are observing, they are helping, and they are participating in the process of the cooking, that time we can give the justice of this thematic approach. Because then either it is the interleaving and then concert examples with just like the cooking. So how it will start, the previous process, while process, and after process of the cooking. So the 3 stages they can understand through this process. Then coding. The important fact is that coding, how they can decode this process. So this is the whole process of the thematic approach. They are getting the opportunity during this time. But if the parents are able to give them opportunity to learn the same, to experiment on for the cooking, means if they can allow them to cook themselves something for the family, then they can use this thematic approach. Then okay, then if they are using technology, means they can search in YouTube channel, they can find out the resources, so they can use. So again, here they are giving the opportunity to the learners. So technology definitely can help them, but it is based on that how much they are getting the exposure from parents during this period.
Yeah, I see that. As much as, they could actually get one aspect of the theme in connection to the practical aspect, you are saying, well, on the theory aspect, it won't be comprehensive enough for them to actually learn the full concept. Yeah, that's the point. But I do feel that in relationship to education, a lot of what is going on in the home, we should try to connect it so that the students do not see any subject they're looking at, for example, maths, English, as in isolation from what's going on in the home. And I do feel that this new normal, like the lockdown situation, have given parents who've actually are able to do it the opportunity for the children to combine what is going on in the home to their academic learning. Because I think that's the importance of thematic learning for me, making the connection with the theory and the practical. Because at school or at college, they do not have the opportunity to use as much practical aspect as they are now able to use being at home. So I do feel that educators need to seize the opportunity to use various themes to enable the students to embrace the learning and enjoy the learning a lot more than they would have done if they were in the classroom. I'm not too sure how you see that. This is how I'm looking at it in relationship to learning. A lot of things the student would see when they're in the classroom as boring, they're not engaging, but the fact that they're actually at home, you could actually make the connection. For example, if a teacher is teaching sociology, looking at the family, they could actually connect, okay, what type of family you do have now? What is going on? Is it a single household? Is it an alternative? Is it the nuclear family? So it enables the child to look at what is actually happening in the practical sense. Whereas when they're at the school, they're constantly looking at the theory. They're not connecting it to the practical. So I do feel now that the thematic approach should be much more widely used. What are your thoughts?
Exactly. See, theme-based learning is based on the project. Means it's practical, then problem solving, and then the inquiry. This is the steps of the thematic learning. then it will give the person hands-on learning. Mean just like you now mentioned about that the experimental learning. This is all the experiments going on, and they are getting the exposure in the home also. Then collaboration. They can collaborate with the things. Even they can collaborate with one subject. Means cooking is a home science subject. Then they can connect this with the maths also, then social studies also. They can connect it because, but importance is that they have to think in that way. So collaboration is important, how they can collaborate one subject to other subject also. And they should not look it as only the subject. They can consider it as a one learning. We can switch the one learning to the another types of learning. Subject is just a types of learning. Then student-centered learning. Here, the main attraction, main focus is on the student. Whether the learning is going on. Because most of the time, the process of teaching is going on, learning is very less. So self-learning opportunity should be given. Then important part for this thematic approach is the creativity. We have to unleash the creativity here. So that is an important, meaningful use of technology. Yes, I told you just to find out how this process will go on, what preparation you have to do, what you have to go for it, and which ingredients you are necessary for you. But important is that whether you can find out the related search, the exact search, or whether you can decode that search, you can understand what exactly I have to search and what exactly I have to follow from that search. So again, this thematic process is going on, that brainstorming ideas, that they have to brainstorm themselves. Yes, they have to question themselves. They have to think about the things, the topics, the related content, the context. They have to think about it, and then they can relate and collaborate with each everything. Then we have to it have the most important part, that because in thematic approach, the most connection is related to the real life situation, real life application. I mean, whatever they are learning, they have to use in a real life. So in school classroom, they learn that cooking process is going on like this. So here they are taking the first on experience that how the cooking is going on. Exactly, they are doing the same. Now they are practically doing the thing. So this is the way that application of knowledge in the home also. Now this situation is giving them opportunity, and the important part of this thematic approach is that whole child approach. We should consider the child as a whole child, not a individual style. Then we have to think about the need of the ideas, the concern of each and every child. And we have to consider the level of the child also, understanding power, and how we can groom the child. So it is the important part. Here I would like to share with you some of the themes also. See, if we go through the different types of themes, so we should not consider as a one theme. Just so you mentioned that this is a pandemic situation, and if they are getting the exposure in the house also, if they can able to use this thematic approach, then they should where even teachers can be guide the parents and teachers who are during their meetings about the various themes. So here I would like to share with you some of the and all the with the all the audience that we can use different types of themes. For example, toys. Nowadays, this situation is allowing them to use different types of various types of toys. So they can utilize this theme. Toys, 3D movie. They are watching movies. Then holidays, they are consider it as holidays. Even memes are viral about this is a festivals. So you can just think about the other side of this situation also. We can utilize this. Even students with visual impairment also getting opportunity of this lockdown period also, this situation. We can give them more opportunity to use and understand the things. Then math skills, yoga act. We are giving them opportunity. Yes, morning you have to get up and do some mindset activities, do some meditation, do some yoga, so that we can fit, because as the guidelines are given by the government and the health department, that we should start our day with the healthy life. So healthy lifestyle can be a theme. and even they can use in a different subject also, in art and craft also, means they can use this theme in other subjects also. So it's an opportunity again. Then post office market adventure. Now we are not allowing the students or even parents are not going regularly for the market. So how they can visualize, how they can create, then how they can use the online platform of this marketing. So these are various themes. Cartoons, they are getting more opportunity of watching cartoons in this situation. So this is again the one of the theme. Then we have different corners in our house. Every corner, we can use this corner as a meaningful corner. So this is again a one types of theme we can use. Then beach theme. Now we are not allowed to go outside and enjoy our life on beach. They are missing in summer. They are really missing all these things, but they can visualize this. They can infer the previous knowledge when they went for the picnic, or so they can visualize and infer that knowledge, and they can now interrogate with that knowledge, and they can use it as a thematic way. So then again we have some robotics. So they can try, it means some old toys they have, some damaged pieces they have, they can create something new. This is all the themes we can, superheroes, fairy tale stories, then Star Wars, pirated technology, so many themes we have. Space, we cannot stop the learners to dream of the space. Nowadays they are getting more opportunity to think about the space. Oh, now we are suffering here due to this pandemic situation. Oh, instead of that, why should we not go to the space and enjoy a peaceful life? Theme, any theme can be used for this development of the approach. Over to you.
Yeah, I do see that. And I do feel that educators, yes, we've actually just come onto the online space, but at the same time, sometimes we need to think outside of the box. By thinking outside the box, we could actually find so many different subjects to use on a thematic basis, even though they're not allowed to, as you say, go to the beach. You could actually create that, because there's lots of things online that will actually give the students the opportunity to think in a thematic way. So that would actually enable them to actually make the subject much more interesting for the students. I do feel that using a thematic approach for teaching is very, very useful, because it allows the students to also think outside of the box as well as the educator. So the more you think outside of the box and the more you connect it to practical aspect, the more the students are able to learn these different approaches and remember it, because they're actually living in that environment. Because the more you make subjects that they're able to connect with, the more they're able to process it, and the more they're able to recall the information. That is something I am strongly encouraging educators to use, a thematic approach, because it does enable the educator to get outside of the box, and you enable the student to step outside of the box as well. Also, a lot of educators have saying to me that they find it very challenging to think of themes to use while on the online platform. One of the beautiful things that we now have is we are in this space of the home environment. There are so many practical things we could actually take up from the home environment, which we could actually then use as a form of a learning tool. Whereas in the classroom, we're far more restricted as to what we could use to make the learning practical and realistic. We are at home, we could actually encourage the student to find practical things that will actually cement the learning for them. So that's something I've been encouraging educators to use, because we have no choice. We're now on this online space. We now have to find alternative tools to engage our students and make learning fun for the student, or else we will not have them looking at us through the lens of the camera. Instead, we'll have them find an excuse to disappear. So that's something we need to start thinking about. And I do feel that some of these things that we've actually used, as I said earlier on, we also need to identify what aspect we are going to take into the classroom, because there's a lot of teaching tools we are now using which we never thought about in the classroom because we've never been forced to find alternative methods. So that is something we now need to look at. Have you got anything else to add before I ask you for tips?
Yeah, exactly. See, this approach will also help teachers with a paving way to facilitate learning for each child who has or his or her own way of learning things. It can be more useful for primary classes. Just now you mentioned that actually this method for means if I look for it, if I have to apply this thematic approach in the classroom, whether I can able to do this, then I have to think about the positive side of this approach. Then I have to think about the other side of this approach. So when I look at this approach, then I have to think about the methodology of this education, various ways of the teaching learning process. So I learn it treats learning very differently from traditional subject to based learning. For example, in traditional based learning, we are just explaining the topic. We are not bothered about whether the topic is getting understood by the learners or not. We are just putting the questions, but we are not allowing them to ask the reward question. We are just judging with the marks. We don't have about the quality of that topic, means what the child is reflecting. So it is differ from the traditional subject learning from the thematic way, because it's not only about the just mention so many things. It can also relate to the compassion, then being yourself, friendship. Simple techniques, keeping traditions alive, loneliness, anger, means their feelings also we are deriving. So in traditional ways, we are thinking about the subject matter, not about the understanding level, means what they are getting from the content. So we are not thinking about the open-ended questions, because it is different from the answers are varies from child one to the another, but we are not thinking about that. And important thing is that hard work. Some learners are doing hard work for learning and some are not able to do, but some are very easily cope up with all the things immediately. Means we have all types of learners. Just previously I mentioned about all types of learners we have. So for thematic approach for me, so application of the academic skills is important. For example, is a language. If I am teaching language, that time I have to think about that how I can use this theme for the other subjects, for arts, maths, fine arts also. We should not forget about the fines for this thematic approach. Then the elements, true concepts of subject helps to use their education to make real life changes to themselves. This is important, that how they can change. When students are able to see how certain facts and ideas connect with other, that time they have to think about the subject, that how I can relate this subject knowledge to other subject knowledge, which is important. So adding meaning to the curriculum and learning in further reinforcement. So it is an important part. So in a positive way, I can see while using this thematic approach in the classroom, I have to think about this in a positive way. It leads to advanced creative thinking and problem solving skills also. So important part is that I just now, we can continue with the examples that while cooking, I am facing somehow some problems that just how much the ingredients I have to put in that particular food. Then I have to think about that in a different way. Okay, here my observation will help me. If I am observing my parents, that time I have to recall that knowledge and I have to then utilize that recalling here for that problem. So the problem solving skills we are expecting in this thematic approach. So actually it is much more challenging. So many times actually teachers are not ready to use this approach in the classroom. because it is very challenging for them. So we can go for the pros and cons, but over to you. You just finish it, then we will discuss.
Yeah, but don't you think, right? Okay, it is challenging to use the thematic approach in the classroom. Don't you think now, in terms of the fact that we are teaching them online and the student at home, don't you think that now thematic approach could be used far more widely than in the classroom?
Sure. Here I would like to give you one example on story. Means how storytelling we can connect with the thematic approach. Here I'm not going to tell the whole story, but might be you remember about the two pot stories. The story is about that the storyline was just like as two pots. Every day the person used to go fill the water, and then he has to carry the that pots from the both side of that rod, and one pot was leaked, but another pot always used to laugh at him and use some sarcastic comments, and so the things were going on. So just the consideration was that the broken pot always think that he is useless and worthless. And one day he told the owner that just throw me away, and why, though I am broken, why you are just using me. So all the story goes in that way. And at the end of the story, the person told that broken pot that I'm deliberately I'm using you from that side where the flowers are planted, and you're that leaking water always giving them a new life. So this is the plot of the story, and the another part understand its mistake. So it was the story about, and here the importance is not that what is the story. The importance means how the thematic approach is working here. See, first they have to understand the characters, but they should not know only the characters, but they should understand the feeling of the character. This is thematic approach. What are the feelings of those characters? How many characters are there? There are various characters, living and non-living characters also. So they have to think in this plot that how many characters, which are living characters, which are non-living characters, how they are playing the role. So whether the opening of the story is correct or ending is correct, then how the storyline is going on, how the plot is sitting, then how it ends, and whether the characters are in a positive way, and if not, if they are in a negative way, then how they are thinking about it, how their perception has changed, whether they have changed or not, and at the end of the story, what is the takeaway, what are the possibilities. So this is all called as a thematic approach. So they have to apply it in the real life. So whether students are, after the teaching the story, after they are learning the story, whether they understand the story is not important, whether they can connect the story in their real life situation is called as a thematic approach. Whether they are applying it in a daily life, what the teacher's observation says here is important. Then we can consider it that the thematic approach is completed and satisfied.
Okay, thank you. Do you feel that thematic approach could be used more on the online platform though?
See, the first thing here that the interest issues. It is not worldwide accepted that all students are interested in the same theme. If one child is interested in a theme of that cartoons, it is not considered that another child also like cartoons. So if today the teacher provide the theme cartoons, then it is not compulsory that all students has to accept that theme and they have to work on that theme. They have to learn the theme. This again it varies. So this is one of the disadvantage that all the and I think at the beginning sometimes the learners interest goes properly, but meanwhile they are disinterested about that, and they are just divert from the originality of that particular theme. And here is the biggest loss. The second thing is that absentee. Sometimes now it's online sessions, but in classroom also, and in the online, so they have internet issues or something where they are disconnected just now from the beginning. We are facing the problem. So it just disturb us. Oh, our viewers are watching and what's going on. So it just disturb us. Oh no, miss, we are just become worried about, we are just getting tense, and it just divert us whether, oh, shall we have to continue it or not, we have to stop here, why we are doing it. So again the absentee, and we don't have linkage support. Suppose we today I just use the particular theme, and we have to continue for the week. So today some part I just use. So just take the example of that, the previous story, 2 parts. I have started the story today, I taught the story, and tomorrow I'm going to discuss with the learners about the story on the third, and that the second day the particular child is absent there, he's lost reconnection, or maybe not in the classroom. That time how the child can, he or she can connect himself or herself on the third day. So the connection loss problem we are facing.
Yeah, that is very true. Yeah, I see that in relationship to the online platform, because just now we've lost a lot of power just now because the internet wasn't working properly. So therefore, if you have a team, it becomes challenging for them to actually continue. However, if you actually do a theme online, the fact that you are always able to use the Zoom whiteboard, it means that the students are able to connect with that, isn't it?
Suppose say finding enough resources again the problem, and utilizing the available resources, and just try to cope up with that particular resources and use for that particular theme is another part. So concepts can be clear. So for example, so more work for the teacher. Here again more work, this is again the disadvantage of this thematic approach, that though we are emphasizing more on the thematic approach, it is very helpful. Just we saw that there are various types of advantage, because the most important part of this opportunity to develop a deeper knowledge of a few big ideas. So thematic approach is giving the opportunity to think about the big ideas, big concept. But are we sure that all teachers are able to implement all the big ideas, and are they able to find out resources? Are they able to work for that big ideas? So this again one of the disadvantages, and for implementing that big ideas they have to do with pre-based program, they have to make some preparation. So are the teachers are ready to do that, because they have to manage online classes, they have to manage, they have to assess them, they have to observe, they have to provide them notes and everything, they have to give them suggestions. So many things they have to prepare, they have to make some PPT presentations, so use some videos or some many online platforms, technology tools they have to use for that. So whether they are ready or not, so it again affects on that, what you just said, that it affects on the willingness of teaching or using this thematic approach, because it is based on not only the teaching related to the teaching, it is a relation with the learning style. So thematic approach is mainly concerned with the learning style. So can teachers able to habitual the learners to use the thematic approach in their learning? So all these questions arose in our mind, and then we have to think about that. So many tips can help them to cope up with this. Over to you.
Yeah, that is very true. As much as some educators might love the idea of thematic, I think it could be used, but as you rightly identify, it's a lot of work. However, you need to balance that against the engagement of the student. It depends on how engaged your students have been, whether or not you decide, okay, they have not been very engaging, so I need to start engaging them, so therefore I am going to use thematic approach in my teaching. So I also think that it depends on the engagement of the student and how engaged they have been, that the educator would decide to put in all this extra work and then take it through a thematic approach. It very much depends.
Yes. So for that, I would like to share some tips with you,
Yes.
and for our viewers and is for all my teachers, that with the help of some tips we can deal with this, some types of the problems we can deal with that. So first of all, we have to meet with our students. That is important thing, that how we can meet with our students. Nowadays the meeting is very less in online platforms. See, just if we are using this paid version of that particular office, then we are getting more hours, and if we are taking the free, then we are getting a less time. So here again, related to the how much time we are just giving the learners, then how much time we are just utilizing for interaction, then how much we are using for the application, how much opportunity. Just think about that. We have 42 students in our online platform. Then how individually we can guide them, how much time we are using for the observation, how many students are able to react, reply, or share on that online platform. So this we have to think, and for that we have to manage, means just like as a breakdown rooms. We have to give them just opportunity to share, or make give them the projects to do, experiments, the share. They can make ask them to make their small videos at home of their learning and their process. So just try to meet with your students, and then then we have to the cause effect of visual connection to object. It is important that experiments to the self. Are we giving them the opportunity to experience themselves only? Because it is already related to that learners experiments, that how much they are experiencing themselves, that during this process what they are thinking about themselves, what thoughts are coming in their minds, and how they are expressing those thoughts, or whether they are giving the way to the thoughts, or whether they are suppressing the thoughts in their mind. So all things are here, which how much they are dealing with the thoughts. So here the main role of the teacher is that to scaffold the learning and the learners. Teacher should not work here as a teacher, not only the mentor. The teacher has to work as a facilitator, because only the facilitator can scaffold the learning process and the learner. So important part is just be a scaffolder to your learners, become a support system. If the theme is complex, then teacher has to make it more easy. Just make it in a part, just break the theme, just give them opportunity to understand, bring the theme to the lowest level, and then again take to the highest level. So we have to think according. The important concern is that understanding. So we have to think about that make simple, understand different plots, and again here again the technology can work here properly. So use of technology here for that scaffolding is necessary. Then use essential questions while observing or while discussing with the learners through the sessions. Teacher can use such types of essential questions, whether they are happy with this, so what problems they are facing or not, how they are thinking, what thought comes in their mind during that process, can they able to share with the teacher or not, or whether they have thinking, whether they are finding out the parallel any activity or any solutions, or parallel any the fact which are neglected or which are not understand during the process. So we have to think about that side also. Then approach theme from a different direction. So we don't have to think that yes, I am your teacher and I am giving you the site, that think about that problem about in the direction. Is it good thing that just navigate them to think only on the particular direction? So instead of that, why we are not opening all the directions to think and just understand and use all the directions, let the mind go all the sides. So it is an important. Then accept a range of answers. Yes, my answer is correct. Yes, 2 or 3 learners answer is correct, and what about others? Accept though the answer is wrong, because we can enact the mistakes. So here again, we have the opportunity. We have to, when we want to make the learners to be an independent learner, such types of thematic learner, that time we have to think about that, giving them opportunity to do the mistakes, because mistakes only learn many things, and only mistakes can teach a lesson. No need of a teacher. Mistake is the biggest teacher. Every person learn from his or her own mistakes in life. And again, we are here again back to the main point, that thematic approach is nothing but the connection of the teaching learning process to the real life. So it's a lifelong process. Already I mentioned that it's a lifelong process. And then connect the discussion to offer the area against that, how much how much in a widened range we can do for that particular topic. Then again, we have to think about can you think about that, the assessing about that thematic approach? Can you think about that?
Well, in terms of, you see, it depends on the subjects you're teaching, right? If you're actually teaching maths and English or sociology, yes, you could actually use whatever theme you're using, you could actually use that as an assessing process. Right, because I use a lot of thematic in my teaching. For example, the beautiful thing of doing sociology right now is if you're using the family. So from that, you can actually bring in the theorists, because they already see that the different type of family that exists within the homes, etc. Especially during this lockdown time, they see, okay, I'm from a nuclear family, my friend is from an extended family. So they could actually look at it, because never before have they had the opportunity to look, because all we are giving them is theory, theory, theory. So we're now actually given the opportunity to look in terms of the practical aspect, which you are then going to implement with the theory. So you're implementing the theory, so then it becomes a whole.
Yes. Again, Miss, suppose assessing the theme, just now, means we are giving them opportunity, think on the different size, different area, and different angle. Because the thinking process is not bound to the time only. It's not a bounded activity. Thinking process has its own way, its own strategy, and it differs. It varies from the person to person. And for that, for the assessing the thematic approach, we have to think about the annotation. Means how the study annotate a text with the details. So that is important. Then just now I told about the two-part story. Whether the child is able to quote on that story, this is the assessing side. Against whether they can able to quote. Telling moral of the story is not the thematic approach, but making a quote on that story is a thematic approach. Then yeah, and other golden lines, if they are able to make other golden lines for that, means the thought process which can come on that broken pot, and the thought process which comes for that good means good quality pot. So, and what questions arose in that person who is carrying the both pots? So what lines they are able to make for the particular theme is important. And this is called as the way of the assessing. Then how they are responding to that particular thing. Just whether they can compare the theme with that to the other stories. It is not here mentioned, it is not expected that only the learners should understand a particular story which is told by the teacher, or which is conveyed from any technology, or whether they can understand, but whether they can able to find out such types of stories which are related to that particular story, whether they can find out the same theme from other types of stories also. So this is called as a thematic approach, and this is same applied to for the other subject also. How they can utilize two parts. So again, the maths is here, how many days, whether, then the topics, then whether where it is situation, where the story started, where it was located, So again, we are taking it to the geography. So we are connecting. This is called as the thematic approach, that we are connecting. Then beauty flowers, we are using adjectives. So here we are giving the opportunity for the vocabulary development, language enrichment. So many themes, so many concepts are getting clear with the only one theme. This is called as a thematic approach, and where it is called as again the process of assessing. Then later, the students are able to ask the questions. Not only teachers, but our peers in a group. So this is again the assessing, whether they are able to think on that process or whether they can able to create the questions. Any questions come in their mind, or yes, my teacher told me that, yes, I have to think on that. So this should not be expected here. Whether they can demonstrate in the form of role play, in the form of storytelling. Again, they can use their mother tongue, they can use any types of language, they can use any platform, they can change the characters, they can change the names of the characters, they can change the situation. So in any other types, whether they can mold the story, but they should not lose the essence of the story. So again, this is the thematic approach, and whether they can able to reflect on the story. Reflection. So this is a part of the assessing. Most of the times, always marks are decided for the assessing. Yes, you got 92 means you are a genius. Yes, you are correct. Your answer was correct, and yes, exactly. So you are bright student. But whether we are looking for that, how much the child is able to reflect. So assessing is expected. We are just evaluating the learning. So instead of that, we should assess the learning, which is based on the feedback and reflection. Then again, then we have to search for additional theme also, which can improve the level of the theme. This is for the primary level. Then once the child is promoted for the next grade, then we have to think about that, the level of the theme. I can use the same story, but I have to just increase the level of that theme. Humanity, compassion, whatever the theme I chose for that, because I didn't choose the story as a theme, I chose the theme, that humanity story, or any moral values. So life skills, it is the story about the life skills. So that was my theme. So again, I have to take the theme for the upper level. So I have to think in that way. This is part of assessing, and listen for theme and then reflect on the theme, giving the feedback on the theme. So this is the process of assessing. So theme-based teaching can help the children to contribute from partial to more complete knowledge. And yes. And over to you.
I do agree with the importance of thematic teaching and thematic learning, especially more so now on the online platform for the younger children. It is so much so because at least it becomes a hook for the students to start engaging. And some of my teachers have told me, yes, they've actually used it because it does help. And as much as it is used more widely in the primary sector, in the secondary sector, to enable the students to actually make the connection of a subject that the teacher finds that the students are having some challenge with, thematic subjects really does help. Thematic really does help, because too often our students learn things in isolation. They do not learn it as a holistic approach. And I feel that one of the things that educators should now learn from this online platform is how to connect what you are teaching the students on a holistic basis other than segmentation. It is so important. After this lockdown, you know, we've learned a lot of stuff. There is no way we could go back to the way we used to teach, because there have been so many opportunities that we've had and so many teaching tools that we've used, and we will have to start taking them, as I said earlier on, into the classroom, because we've realized that it have made life a little bit easier for us. Initially, It was challenging trying to negotiate and navigate the new normal. But the fact that we've actually done that and we are continuing to do that, some of the knowledge and skills that we've actually learned while have been on lockdown, we now have to be taking them to the classroom because we realize that it have made life slightly easier. For me, when I get back in the classroom, I'll be using a lot more technology with my students than I once used to. Because I now see that there's so many things that we could utilize in the classroom that we were not utilizing. Because a lot of us rely quite heavily on PowerPoint. Because I know a lot of teachers who just constantly teach with PowerPoint. But now we know there are other platforms we could utilize.
Exactly. It is based upon the brain research and psychology of learning. So it has a deep meaning, a deep sense. So we have to means deliberately, consciously, we have to understand this approach and this learning style. We have to adapt it. Adaptation is important because yes, we should not follow blindly any approach or any strategy. We have to adapt everything.
Yes, because that's what we're now doing on the online platform. Everything that we've learned, we had to adapt it to the online platform. No way could we have used the things we're using in the classroom and just bring it straight in the online platform. We had to be adaptable and we had to be flexible in order for it to work. And we realized that it is working now a lot better than we anticipated. Plus, it's working a lot better than when we first started the online platform. So we have learned a lot. Is there anything else, one thing you want to actually leave us with before we wrap up?
Before we wrap up, I just want to share with you that this approach is based on the important concern. It is called as a constructive approach, constructivism approach, because it cannot be separate from the subject. It started with the constructivism. Are you aware about? Hopefully, you all are aware about this. The constructivism. It is based on that how the child is learning. How the teacher is teaching is not important. How the child is learning, the way of learning, the process of learning, the tools, the technology, and the resources, your utilization of resources and adaptability, adaptation methods are important for this constructivism, because every child can learn.
Yeah.
And after this pandemic situation, I feel that this thematic approach can be helpful to improve their soft skills also. Because just now we are both communicating here and our viewers are watching, audience is also using, just putting their questions and that all the comments in the comment box, and we are just here again the sharing, we are using this platform. So they are similarly, they are just using this platform for sharing, for understanding, for questioning, and also they can defend here also, so they can learn. But the way of defending, the way of telling, the way of requesting, so again this platform they can use, teacher can utilize, parents can utilize for the behavioral changes of the learners. How they can behave after this, how they can cope up. So forces can be developed: communication, collaboration, critical thinking. They can they can develop these forces. And again, one more thing which is expected in the thematic approach, which is called the research. They can research anything. Even teachers can do research of this whole process. They can research the thematic approach, what they experience throughout their sessions. They can research, students can research, and even the public speaking, they can learn how they can speak with publicly. The teamwork. Many assignments, many projects can assign for the team, not a group, because group concept is different and teamwork is different. So they should learn the teamwork, because it is important for this situation. And then goal setting. This is a proper period to decide which goal they can set. So this is only my concern, that before the end of the session, if you have any questions or any doubts, you can put in a comments box. We can share with you. And also just go to the study concern. Just try to learn the different strategies, techniques, and just think about the thematic approach in a positive way. But also don't ignore the pros and cons of this thematic approach, but adapt it and utilize it according to the level, atmosphere, need. Every approach is based on the need, whether
of the
it is
students.
yes necessary for your students or not. Just you today understand the thematic approach, just try to implement in your classroom, it is not acceptable. Just think about the need of the learners and just try to use it, adopt it. Thank you.
Yeah, that is very true, because especially on the online platform, I feel that the needs of the student are slightly missed because we're so busy trying to see what's happening. And I think another thing we need to look at is how we are going to ensure that there is a balance in relationship to the emotional aspect of the student together with the academic aspect of the student. Because I feel that when we go back into the classroom, teachers will no longer be looking initially on the academic aspect. They need to be focusing more on the psychological and the emotional well-being of that student. That's got to be the main focus when we get back to school. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Facebook. I do apologize for the challenges we've had at the beginning of the session. This clearly demonstrates one of the challenges of online platform, the lack of internet, the computer shutting down, the computer freezing up. Those are some of the challenges that we've always experienced, especially now that we're actually using the online platform quite a lot. We don't experience that in the classroom. However, it's one of the challenges, but this is a situation which we need to learn from. Thank you very much, and I will see you guys tomorrow on another of the Teach the Female Educators platform. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice time. Stay safe.
Thank
Stay
you.
at home.